Hello. My records indicate that you've been watching the Minuteman Moment, and although we haven't found you guilty of any crimes yet, it'd be a big help to me if you could just sign this form I have in my hand. It's not a confession. You won't have a public record of any wrongdoing. It's just a permanent ban on guns for you for the rest of your life. By the way, that's a nice dog there. The last house I visited had one just like it. Had one. So that scenario isn't too different from something that actually happened with the FBI until they were exposed by AmmoLand and GOA got into it as well. We did a brief rundown of this in a previous video that you can watch here if you want all the details, but I'll sum it up real quick. The FBI thinks they can go to your front door for any reason and ask you to sign away your constitutional right to keep and bear arms by adding your name into the background check system. So GOA sent a letter to the FBI and the Department of Justice demonstrating that not only was this form's existence in violation of the law, but they needed to remove the names of anyone who had signed this form from the NICS background check system. And by law, the DOJ is required to submit a report to Congress updating NICS by removing names wrongfully added after 30 days of being noticed. We know they received our letter because we have the receipts. Knowing the FBI and DOJ don't really like us and would like nothing more than for us to just disappear, we put a call into our allies on Capitol Hill and we brought out the big guns. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene answered that call and wrote a really good letter with 14 other phenomenal members co-sponsoring it and demanding confirmation of three things: that the Department of Justice has identified and taken action to remove offending records from any database relating to those that might have signed this rogue FBI form. Second, that the FBI, under the authority of the Attorney General, took action to remove the offending records from the NICS system. And lastly, that the FBI has halted its use of the illegal and unconstitutional NICS indices self-submission form. Now you may be thinking to yourself, well, that's nice, a letter. What about an actual law? Well, okay, here it is. First and foremost, we don't need gun laws on the books. We have the Second Amendment, which is clear as day. No further justification is needed. Secondly, there's already laws on the books prohibiting exactly this kind of behavior. As corrupt as the legislation behind NICS background checks and the Fix NICS Act was, these actions by the FBI and DOJ were absolutely out of line with congressionally passed statute, not to mention the Constitution. And so for a problem like this, passing a law, especially in an anti-gun Congress with an anti-gun president, is not tactically prudent for this particular problem. So why submit a letter? You're thinking letters and these resolutions are functionally useless. Only laws have actual teeth. That is what means something. But here's a strategy that GOA and Congresswoman Greene are using. The bureaucrats at the DOJ and the FBI don't care about constitutional rights or following the law. If the law gets in the way, they'll find a way to fudge it. Their motivation isn't to preserve the Constitution, it's to find ways to gain power and keep it. And so that's why this letter is written in very special language, the language that institutions and people in Washington, D.C. use to talk to each other. Strategic members like Congresswoman Greene and the co-signers understand this is how you get things done in Washington. And so roughly translated from the DC speak, Congresswoman Greene is telling the FBI and the DOJ, we see what you're doing, and if you don't shape up, we're going to strangle you with the budget. One of the co-signers, Congressman Chip Roy, as always, put it in very plain words. If the American people ever put Republicans back in the majority, we should use it to force the administration to answer about where these forms came from and exactly how they've been used. Further, we shouldn't agree to one additional penny for the FBI until we have answers on this and the growing laundry list of the Biden DOJ's other apparently politicized enforcement actions. Government agencies know the election's coming, and the lifeblood of these agencies depends on Congress, which rubber stamps approvals for all their budgets. But if pro-gun members like Marjorie Taylor Greene and the fellow co-signers of the letter are able to have a say in the matter, the FBI and DOJ better start doing what they're supposed to do and remove those names from the NICS database. And that's just for starters. They better not do anything like this ever again. And Congressman Andrew Clyde from Georgia put it very well when he said the FBI's efforts to pressure Americans to relinquish their Second Amendment rights is appallingly corrupt and warrants swift congressional oversight, meaning a pro-gun Congress should investigate the FBI. More investigations means more pressure for rogue agencies to be held accountable. Make sure you show support for these courageous members like Marjorie Taylor Greene and the others by sending a message on social media thanking them and commenting with something encouraging below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.